Welcome everyone to the Woodland Community Consolidated School District Board meeting for Thursday, May 23rd, 2019. Get a motion to enter or to return to open session.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Carla,
Aye.
Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Renee, Nasima.
Yes.
We have quorum, or I'm sorry, motion carries 5-0.
Okay. And now the roll call, please.
Carla,
Here.
Joe,
Here.
Lizzie,
Here.
Jennifer,
Here.
Renee, Nasima. Here. We have quorum.
Okay, thank you. Tonight's opening ceremony, we have the pleasure of the colors being presented by, presentation of colors by Troop 671. Okay, so please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Color guard halt. Color guard across the colors. Post. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job, boys. Take your cookies.
Okay. Next up, we have approval of agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Discussion. Okay, roll call vote.
Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Renee, Nasima.
Yes.
Carla.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, next we have superintendent's report. There's several recognition of intermediate and middle school students. There's a list. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Swoboda for the report.
Thank you very much. Well, as your superintendent and a fellow longtime teacher, I just want to honor and thank all our students that are here this evening and their parents for their support during celebrating the academic successes at the end of our school year. So what we're going to do, boys and girls, and many of you competed on multiple teams and will be receiving multiple certificates of recognition from our board tonight. So myself, along with our board president, vice president, we're going to come up to the middle, going to share a little bit about your club that you were involved in, your team, and then we'll ask you to come on up and receive your certificate. And then we do have a special Life in the W bag that you can keep. It's a sports pack. The only other person that has these bags besides all of the children that were part of the competitions are the teachers. You have the exact same bags as the teachers. So with that, we'd like to start off the evening by celebrating our Science Olympiad team. Okay, so while we're moving to the center, our... Oh, okay. our Science Olympiad team, a little bit about our high-flying Science Olympiaders. They won 3rd place in the state of Illinois in the most competitive division there is. So congratulations. This is a tremendous accomplishment for the team. This is only their 5th year in the program. The children were 1 position away from making it to nationals. Just think about that, nationals. The children earned event medals in 14 individual events with many 1st and 2nd place finishes. This resulted in a phenomenal season and a testament to the hard work of the students and the amazing staff and their coaches, Toby Dyson and Melissa McMahon. So even though all our students couldn't come tonight, they may be watching, so we're going to read everybody's name. And if you're here tonight, please come on up and accept your certificate and our thanks, and we'll give that to our students that aren't here this evening. So I practice these names, but I'm going to give up. Noah Aldrin, Ainsley DeRosa, and then kids, if you can stay kind of up towards the front, and Mrs. Waller, can you raise your hand? We're going to be taking pictures in the hallway afterwards. Liam Hickey.
Where are we having
Benjamin Isaac. Kartika. Nihar Kiran Kumar. Nihar. Sanjeev Kamden. Evan Lear. Tanuka Paramathan. Jacob Hart. Lindsay Prims. These students I know are here. Adito Ranan. Nakarta Spara. Ansha Shah. Yasha Sharma. Matav Singh. Ranveer Singh. Aksha Shartu Tananda. Akshu Shartu Tananda. Olivia Shiraz. Kayla Tangudar. Kenneth Takat. 4 times tonight. Megan Van Hoof. Ray Varghese. And that makes up your science Olympiad. We have our board members in our picture too. There you go. Students come on over. Just direct them, Mrs. Waller. I'll take direction. Come on, Dr. Little. Come on. Where's your Science Olympiad? Stay tuned. Congratulations, students. We're very, very proud of you.
He's not here.
And one other name, Stephen Judge. And Stephen is not here, but we want to recognize Stephen. Next, we are excited to celebrate our Carmel High School math competitors, our math leads from Carmel High School. So in February, these 10 students participated in the competition. Both 7th and 8th grade teams took 1st place in the the entire competition.
All right. Great job.
Our 8th grader, Liam Hickey, earned the highest individual score of all participants. I love Mary Superintendent Report. And our 7th grade students, Megan Van Hoof and Evan Neer, placed 3rd and 4th respectively. Fantastic job. Our 7th grade team of mathletes was made up of Jake Jersick. Jake, your mom. Oh, okay. Janavi Coley. Evan Neer. Tyler Terzones. And Megan Van Hoof, our 7th grade team. And our 7th graders, soon to be 8th graders, if you can stay up here, we'll call our 8th graders up and get one big picture. Our 8th graders, Maxine Elowen. Maxine. Eunice Kim. William Hickey. Benjamin Isaac. And Kenneth Tolo. Kenneth, come on up. These are your 7th and 8th grade Carmel mathletes.
Maybe move over a little bit more so it's more balanced. I think,
Yes, there you go. That's
fit
great.
into the space a little bit more. And I'll go to the back.
Kenneth, would you switch
Your Carmel High mathletes.
Great job, guys.
Thank you. And next up we have our Scholastical team. This is the 6th year in a row that the Woodland Middle School Scholastical team has had an outstanding season. The varsity team took 1st place in the conference with a record of 12-1. They've won regionals and advanced to sectionals. So congratulations to these smart, talented young people. The team is coached by Leslie Samarco, and I would be remiss, I apologize, with the mathletes. They are coached by the phenomenal Mrs. Chris Frisbee. So we got to give a shout out to Chris. Write it down, boys and girls. Make your notes. Okay, so our Scholastical team. Tonight we want to recognize Anika Aganshi. Anika, who can't be here tonight. Sarah Bedwell. Sarah Bedwell, who can't be here tonight. Timothy Chang. Eunice Kim. Isaiah Gottwitz. Elor Hanner, who can't be here tonight. Liam Hickey. Nihar Kumar. Janavi Kohli. Nithya Komaboya Nithima K. With us tonight, Abhi Kanapala. Eli Samuelson. Short. Aksha Sharachu Tananda. Aksha. Kenneth Takolo. And Blaze Varghese. So, your Scholastic Bowl champions. Okay, because you're shorter and cuter. Come on up. We'll put the adults in the back. Come on over. And now we also have some individual recognitions we would like to do this evening. Oh, the math kind of event. I apologize. Thank you, everybody. We'll recognize that one tonight. We have, before we get to the individual awards, we need to celebrate our MathCon students. Thank you. Now I was spelling Dr. Hoff. Our MathCon program, this is a national program that our students could compete in. It has an innovative mathematics platform. It's a competition series. They use educational resources to enhance and learn about mathematics. These students that participated, there were six of them, with Megan Van Hoof, ranked 26th in the nation. Wow. She is in 6th grade negatives and she earned a bronze medal. We had our 8th grader, Evan Meir, ranked 27th in the nation. Also earned a bronze medal. We celebrate Liam Hickey. He was ranked 39th nationally of all 8th grade students in the nation. And we also need to recognize as part of the team, catch me if I some name here, we've got Kenneth. Kenneth was also part of our team. And Eunice Kim. Get this out of the way. And if our other group of athletes can step forward, we'll grab one more picture for the website and posterity. And then we'll go to our individual events.
Mr. Bobette, would you mind displaying you photobomb. Okay, everybody, here we go. Ready? Smile. Okay. Keep smiling. Keep smiling.
Talented young girl. 7th grader, not 8th grader. That's because you're so smart for sending you to high school. So on to our individual events. We want to recognize our Lake County Spelling Bee champions. There were 2 of them. One of the individuals is here tonight. So in our district, these students, Zahim and Audrey, went to the district spelling bee and they competed. And Zahim finished 3rd place, and both he and Audrey Santos did a fantastic job. We're so proud of you. And Audrey's here tonight, so we want to recognize Audrey. Congratulations, honey. Okay, we'll get another picture. And a familiar name that we've highlighted tonight, our Illinois State Geography winner for the third year in a row, now 8th grader, Kenneth Takalu. Kenneth qualified for the state level geography and placed 16th out of 100 children in the state. Kenneth is an impressive young man. He's been knocking it out of the park since 6th grade, and we are so proud of you. We really thank you for everything you've done, and good luck in high school. And our last celebration this evening is two of our intermediate school students. I just want to give a big shout out to our school principal, Mr. Derek Strait, who this year brought the Illinois Principals Student Recognition Program to the intermediate school. So this is our first year of participating. The school, each teacher chose one boy and one girl who met the qualifications of leadership outside of the classroom, citizenship, positive attitude, effort, compassion, dependability, respect, generosity with peers, and a good friend. So academics, while are important, these were all part of the criteria. And from all those students, the school had 2 winners that we want to celebrate tonight. And those winners are, Mr. Strait, come on up please for the picture. Congratulations to Ian Haffey and Elizabeth Salinas for representing. They were celebrated while we're getting ready for a picture. These 2 students, along with all the students in the county, were celebrated at this gigantic leadership recognition breakfast that was held at Holiday Inn just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, branding.
So again, on behalf of these experiences would not happen without the experiences wouldn't happen without the amazing, dedicated, humble, passionate staff we have at Woodland, and of course the parents are their number one support system at home. So please join me in recognizing all the children we heard tonight, those that couldn't be with us, for their while we have to finish up that very important board business. So if you're not staying for the rest of the meeting, now would be a good time to.
Yeah, thank you all for coming, and congratulations to our students again. Have a great evening.
No, I just flipped through the page and started to another. Bye, boys and girls. Congratulations. Bye, parents. Thank you. How are you? I'm good.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. I know, because I barely.
love to, you know what, I can come out that way. No, it's good. It does me good to walk. It's good. I'm happy to. Nobody did okay with me.
Thank you.
You know, we're missing this one.
I should know better.
It's kind of like there's a piece in the conversation where that's usually where Terry comes in.
Oh, really?
But now we're coming to it. I'm gonna give her a call or shoot her a text.
Oh, yeah, let her know you miss her.
Yeah, I got it right now. Join texting Terry.
Laura, do you have those emails from Larry from the county? Thanks. It was my phone that was doing it.
Toast.
Oh, very sweet. She'll love it. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started with the rest of the meeting. Thank you. We'll come to order and get started with the rest of the meeting, please. Next on the agenda are citizen statements. Is there anyone signed up? Okay, great. We have two members of the community signed up. So when I call your name, please come forward and introduce yourself and tell us your affiliation with the district, please. The first is Josh Pisek. Pasak.
Hello?
Yes.
2 minutes?
Yes.
Hi, everybody, board, community members. My name is Josh Pasak. Hi, Stacy. I have Julia is in your school. My daughter is in the dual language program in Stacy Anderson's kindergarten, Woodland Primary. I'm here just to introduce myself to you. I submitted a letter of interest to fill the board vacancy seat. And I think that I wanted to give you sort of a face with a name on the paper. I don't know the process exactly. We're going to be going through interviews or calling people or checking references or background checks or something like that. I really don't know the process. But I wanted to stand here before you and introduce myself and say thank you for giving me the opportunity and being considered for the role. I think sometimes it's sort of a thankless job you have. This is really hard work, and frankly, this is really inspirational, what we just saw. These great kids in our community. That's really what I put in my letter. My professional resume doesn't really speak to those points about how great it is to live in Gurnee. I live pretty close to the school. I go to a lot of the meetings. You see me a lot, Stacy. And so I just want to make this community a better place and serve our students and our teachers in our community, and wanted to say thank you for considering me, and I hope you really do read my letter and my resume and give me a shot.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Next up is John Marion.
Marion, yeah, thank you. So, I don't think I need the microphone. I think
Yes,
my voice,
you do. Yes, you do.
Yes.
Please, thank you.
Did you leave it on? Okay. So my name's John Marion. I have two daughters that are in 1st and 3rd grade this year, also in the dual language program. Been living here in Gurnee for 7 years now. And I just wanted to voice my support for Josh in the school board seat. I think Josh just really has a great innate ability to kind of look at our core values and then drive solutions that help meet those core values of, educating our children and caring for our community. And I think that he would just be a really great addition to the school board. He has a really good focus on budgetary items and also aligning those with kind of tactical goals in order to reach, the needs of our children. He's caring, empathetic. Josh, he doesn't talk about this much, but he's traveled quite extensively, and I think that gives him a unique cultural perspective. As I watch all these kids come up for their awards, I just kind of noticed that there was really a really diverse community, and I think Josh can relate to that based on his travels throughout the world. And I would just really recommend that you really give him a consideration for that board seat. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you both for coming tonight. We'll move forward with the agenda. Next up is the consent agenda. You have it in your packet. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call vote?
Lizzie,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Renee, Nasima,
Yes.
Carla,
Aye.
Joe.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Moving forward, we have action items. First up, action item A is approval of the parent-student handbook. That was something that we reviewed last month. We need approval for the FY20 book. It was presented as a draft to the board on April 25th. Hopefully we'll get it approved tonight. And then on May 31st, the handbook will be ready for an online registration, and new students entering the entering our district, and it'll be available in English and Spanish. So can we get a motion to approve the parent-student handbook for the 2019-2020 school year?
I move to approve the parent-student handbook for the 2019-2020 school year.
Second?
Discussion? Did you want to add anything, Lori, to the?
No, the only thing I would add is that, thank you, so we can let it get it out to our parents and our new parents. It is searchable, so just if anybody knows, if you're ever looking for anything, you can put it in electronically and find exactly where it is. And the only things that will be changing after board approval is we will put the name of the new board member in there.
Okay. Any further discussion, questions? Roll call vote?
Jennifer,
Yes.
Renee, Nasima,
Yes.
Carla,
Aye.
Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Next item for approval is the approval of the IASB 2019 delegate resolutions. We have 3 resolutions in your packet for approval. I can just do a little bit of background. This year's submission of the 2019 Delegate Assembly resolutions to IASB resolution committees will include the 3 new resolutions. At the February 28th governing meeting, the board discussed updating the resolution to keep the original sentiment, to change the funding methodology, but also incorporate factors such as local control and service expectation for at-risk students, and this is the charter school resolution. Our attorney worked with our administration to develop the draft resolutions. And can I get a motion to approve the submission for the 2019 Delegate Assembly resolutions as presented.
I motion to approve the 2019 IASB Delegate Assembly resolutions.
Second.
Okay, and I know that you all have had a chance to review the resolutions. Are there any questions or discussions about each of those?
Just at a subsequent meeting, once we choose who the committee members will be for the different board committees, we'll need somebody to attend the delegate resolution to defend these or explain them. That usually is the first weekend or so in August. And it's usually on a Friday night when you go to talk about the resolution with the resolutions committee. So as soon as we have that date, we'll pass it on to the board members and you can decide who's going.
It's usually the IASB delegate who goes
Yes.
to,
So we should have that chosen by then.
yeah,
Great.
to go to defend. And it's been on other nights besides a Friday, but,
Sure.
yes. But we can decide that once we get a date.
Absolutely.
But are there any questions about the resolutions or discussion? Are we good? So hearing none, no discussion. Roll call vote.
Renee? Nasima?
Yes.
Carla?
Aye.
Joe?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Next up is the power purchase. This is the approval of the power purchase agreements with Siemens Corporation. At the April 2018 Governing Board meeting, the Board of Education approved Siemens Industry, Inc. as a solar consultant for the solar panel project scheduled to commence during the summer of 2019. During this, Siemens designed the solar panels or solar array at elementary, intermediate, and middle school sites based on the available space and site approval from the Board of Education. Let's see, are there any, can I get a motion to approve the Board of Education?
Yeah, I move that the Board of Education approve the power purchase agreements with Siemens Industry, Inc. for solar panel installation.
Second.
Yeah, that was a weird wording, so I apologize with that motion. We do have a motion and a second, or is there any discussion?
We have an update for the board about the installation. I'll turn it over to our CFO because it's changed a bit since we put the packet together.
Oh, okay.
Interestingly enough, because of the Illinois opening up the REC program this year and because of the demand for solar installation projects, actually just today we heard that it's another daily change that we've been going through. So some of the panels might be a little bit delayed because they're on back order. Some of the racking that was seen to have been potentially delayed might actually be available. It's kind of it's a moving object right now where, you know, it just depends who's in the queue and who's actually going to receive the materials when they need the project. Obviously with Siemens, they wanted to wait until we signed the agreements before they could go ahead and get everything in place. So we're scheduling pre-construction and construction meetings as soon as the beginning of June to try to take care of or try to identify all of the areas that will need to be covered over the summer. And we're anticipating some delays. We don't want to give you an exact date right now just because we don't know exactly what's going to happen.
Okay.
It's more of a, we'll keep you updated as we get information, which seems to happen.
So is it still okay to approve?
Yes, this is the first step.
It's the first step.
Okay. I did want to point out that the agreement will run for a term of 20 years, at which time Siemens will be responsible for the removal of the equipment.
Correct.
Would we anticipate that we would want to remove it then, or what happens in 20 years? Can we renew the contract, or is that equipment dead at that point?
It's not dead. It's to be determined. There will be some degradation of the panels. Not a lot. They'll still probably be producing at 80 to 85%, somewhere in that area. We don't know what's going to happen in the energy sector. Are they going to come up with better?
Something else?
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
So,
And there's no cost to the district.
Correct.
But we would expect to see a savings over the 20 years of over $3 million?
Correct.
Over the 20 years, okay. Any further questions, discussions on these solar panels
No,
or
yeah,
the solar power agreement?
just that it's a really, really amazing opportunity for the district. It makes incredible financial sense, coming at no expense to the district in terms of capital costs, but it also will generate power for our schools. I also am incredibly excited about the message that it sends to our students and to our family, that the district's committed to sustainability, committed to being a leader in the area, and being a leader in education in terms of how we think about energy and how we think about the climate. It makes perfect sense for the district. So it's a great opportunity, and I'm really thankful, Chris. I mean, you took us through it in the Finance Committee for your hard work and for working with Siemens and with Con and with Siemens to make this happen. It's really exciting, and I know the solar panels are on back order. If it takes until the spring to when the sun comes out and we're up and running, it's exciting. It's a big win. Thank you.
Yeah, is that the anticipated time frame?
not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
It's still to be determined. There's some logistical considerations that we need to run through, and that's why we need to have that meeting with Siemens as soon as we sign
Okay.
the agreement.
Further discussion? Roll call vote?
Nasima?
Yes.
Carla?
Aye.
Joe?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Renee? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, so next would be the approval of site lease agreement with Siemens Corporation at elementary, intermediate, and middle school. Can I get a motion to approve the elementary, intermediate, middle school site lease agreements for Siemens Industry, Inc. for solar panel installation at no cost to the district?
Move that the Board of Education approve the elementary
Yeah,
intermediate.
I think we can leave out the board.
Yeah.
We are the Board of Education.
Yeah.
That's why I left that out.
I move to approve the elementary, intermediate, and middle school site lease agreements with Siemens Industry, Inc. for solar panel installation at no cost to the district.
I second it.
Discussion? Anything further?
This is the second piece. Siemens will be obviously using our property to install the panels. The panels will be the property of Siemens Corp. So this is just the second piece that goes along with the power purchase agreement.
Okay. Discussion? Roll call vote?
Carla?
Aye.
Joe?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Renee? Nasima?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, next up, we have the approval of the FY20 food service renewal with Arbor. That was also in your packet. You see the changes, proposed changes in the lunch rate and the breakfast rate for FY20. We're looking at 5-cent increase to lunch. So the cost of a paid lunch will go up to $3, and then a paid breakfast in FY20 is proposed to go to $1.25, which is the current cost. And we have two motions here. Three motions here. So the first motion, I'll go ahead and make. I move to renew the FY20 food service contract with Arbor Management at a per meal rate of $2.5393. So $2.5393 for lunch and $47.51 per breakfast. Is that the right way to say that?
That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
nomenclature. Don't know how those pennies break down, but
I don't know why they go out 4 decimal places.
That's, yeah, that's
It's
confusing.
astounding.
Yes.
yeah.
It kind of looks like you got to pay $1,200 for the
So, can I get a second, please?
second.
Discussion. Do you want to add anything here, Chris?
Same thing as last meeting. This is year 3 of a 5-year contract. The paid meal rate is based off of the Healthy Kids Hunger Act, which is just the difference between what the paid meal is and what the state reimbursement is. So.
Okay. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Renee, Nasima,
Yes.
and Carla.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Motion number 2.
I move to approve the price of a paid student lunch at $3 for the 2019-2020 school year.
Second. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Renee, Nasima,
Yes.
Carla,
Aye.
Joe.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Third motion.
I move that the board establish the cost of a paid breakfast at $1.25 for the 2019-20 school year.
Second. I'll second it. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Renee, Nasima,
Yes.
Carla,
Aye.
Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. So that, the end of the action items for tonight. We'll move forward with reports and discussions. So we have a few reports. Most of them are written
That's
reports. Are there, so we'll just,
Our first one this evening is Doctors Thomas and Kiefer and our wonderful piloting teachers from our, and Mrs. Cepezi Sanchez are here tonight along with our teachers to present to the board their recommendation for the K-5 language arts adoption, which has been many years in the making. And just before I turn it over to them, I just want to thank the committee for your due diligence and taking over a year to do this, not accepting what the publishers gave you, being very critical, harsh judges, which we appreciate, and finding the best product for our children, which turns out to be a product that's not even on the market yet, but they are here to give the board a short presentation, and then the board will approve it next month. So just thank you, everybody, in advance for what you did. So this is our only presentation slide.
All right, good evening. My name is Dr. Victoria Kiefer. I'm the Assistant Director of Teaching and Learning here at Woodland. We are very excited to be here tonight. There are over 40 teachers and reading specialists who were part of this committee, who dedicated a lot of time, energy, and passion, giving their feedback, piloting, submitting themselves to training, monthly meetings, and it's amazing, like Joy said, they put their heart into it. They really did. We have 5 of those members here who have graciously been voluntold by me. They were personally invited, so I am going to introduce them. Or they will.
Nyla Gutierrez, 3rd grade dual Spanish language teacher.
Mrs. Camp, 3rd grade dual English.
Amanda Pitt, Elementary East Monolingual, 3rd grade.
Jennifer Cohen, 3rd grade Elementary East.
Bethany Tomlinson, 2nd grade dual, Elementary West.
Elizabeth Sanchez Cepezi, Assistant Director of Language Acquisition.
I think we're good.
Okay, so just briefly, this was a 3-year process. They spent a lot of time coming together, talking about standards, curriculum, high expectations. They met on a monthly basis. They selected the best materials to pilot. They completed evaluation tools. Even though I wasn't here for the past couple years, it was a very thoughtful, in-depth process. A lot of great discussions, and we eventually came to consensus at the end. Before we get started, though, you do have some materials on your desk. We also have one at each end, a MindView student book, which if you read through it, there's some pages that are tabbed, including a little big book from first grade. So Elizabeth and Steve Thomas will talk about some of the diversity and equity issues, and you can really see some really concrete examples of diverse authors, characters, and students can definitely see themselves in the books. So either during the meeting or after, you can take a look at that. And I will turn it over to somebody who's next.
Hello. Before we get started on talking about our final decision that we made, I think it's really important for you to know that for 2 years we've piloted 4 different programs. This year we focused on piloting ARC, and we still brought Pearson in because we felt that this MyView that we're
Excuse me. If I can't hear you back here, I'm guessing people on the video can't hear you, so I think you need a microphone.
I'm holding it. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
So, take 2.
Take 2.
As I was saying, I think it's important for you to realize that this was a 2-year process and we piloted 4 programs. Not everyone on the committee did the 4 programs. I can say that I did. This year our focus was ARC, and we still brought Pearson back. The reason for doing that was because at the end of the middle to end of last year, we piloted ReadyGen. Many teachers, including myself, really felt ReadyGen was great for our district, did need a little improvement. When we talked to them, they came back with MyView. I can honestly say, as a teacher, because I know that's what you want to hear, I'm very critical. I came with my list of things that I felt needed improvement from ReadyGen, and they went through that. I was able to see that those things were checked off at the presentation. So fast forward to March 15th, when we came to our, when everyone came together. We had some great discussions. We dug deep into the standards, and we reflected on what the strengths were and the weaknesses of Pearson and of ARC. We also brainstormed ideas of how we were able to overcome any improvements that needed to be made through teacher time or, for example, professional development. And we also came to the understanding that there was no perfect program, but that we truly feel that MyView is what is needed for our students and for our teachers. It is aligned with our standards, Woodland's goal. It shows equity, which they will talk about in a little bit, and it is a balanced literacy program.
So, as Wendy was saying, we're both 3rd grade, and we piloted together, and we worked really, we worked on all 4 pilots together, and we didn't take this decision lightly. It's been a 2-year process, and we've thought really long, and we were very critical, and we didn't settle, and we kept going until we found something that we thought was best. So, all of the programs had pros and cons, and MyView was definitely our top choice, and they, like she was saying, they fixed a lot of the things that were weak with ReadyGen, which we did really like. So there was flexible lessons. It helps to differentiate. It's balanced literacy, and it incorporates reading, writing, speaking, listening, grammar, and they all relate together, which is really nice. There's themes for each unit, and it's nice how they all relate together. The texts are very diverse. There's multicultural authors, and the characters and setting are very diverse with the stories and the pictures. There's different the characters are different ages, genders, ethnicities. They're very culturally relevant. There's students with special needs in different stories. And it really every student will be able to relate to some of the stories that we are reading. It relates to their interests and to social studies and science. At the end of every unit, there's an inquiry, there's a project, a research, and it helps the students to apply the standards in an authentic and creative way in a project-based inquiry. This program has the most variety of resources to pick from for teachers. For every unit and every week, they give 5 or 6 different mini lesson options, and the teachers can choose which ones best fit the needs of their kids and for the teachers. For guided reading, there are many levels for each unit, and there's more online. There are many different types of assessments. There's formative, there are rubrics, there's end-of-unit assessments, and there's extra support for high, low ELL learners. And my favorite part of it is the online part. It's excellent. There's a program online called Reading Spot, and it's a mix between Lexia and RazKids. There's text-to-speech. They have quizzes. There's lots of skills and stories that they can read, and it gives data on each student throughout the school year, which is really nice. There's also an online writing component where students can write paragraphs, and then they submit it to the online program, and it will go through and tell them, you need more capitals and periods, and it will go through and tell them specifically the skills that they need to improve on. So it helps grade it for teachers too, which is really nice. So overall, we just feel like we're very excited about this program, and we feel like it will really be great for our students.
Hi, I'm Natalie, and I just wanted to say that I've also been fortunate to be piloting the various programs on the Spanish side for the past 2 years, and we are also very excited in this product because it does come with a Spanish component that we feel is a positive kind of reflection of what we're looking for in a dual language program, because we want to be able to partner with our English teachers more to provide a more solid curriculum and a balanced curriculum and be able to plan together, which has been very difficult with what we've had in the past. So we are very excited to have something that comes in English and Spanish. And on top of that, Pearson did offer and provide a resource for dual specifically to show us how we'd be able to use this in the dual side, because the way we structure it is a little bit different since we are sharing curriculum. And they did provide that resource. So we're very excited on the dual side as well. And so we just wanted to show you a quick video of an overview of the program so you can have an idea.
Hola. Best way is your way. Eat it, write it, highlight it, make it my own.
Did you know that certain parts of the earth, when an animal eats a plant,
Oh. This way. Look. My new rules.
All right, so moving along here, here we have a list of a couple districts who have also adopted this curriculum. We have the Cary district, the Johnsburg district. There are three others that we don't have names of at this time. And in addition, we just wanted to let you guys know that this is a brand new curriculum. The copyright is 2020, so that's pretty exciting. It's brand new.
Hello. I've taught dual language. I've taught monolingual, and I've taught ESL as well. And I can say this program will benefit the needs of all students. But I'm here to talk about the English side of dual language. Something that really helps me as a native English speaker is the implementation guide. It gives me more opportunities to work with my dual language partner, and helps me teach ESL and dual students because it actually has a map of skills that do and don't transfer. So it'll help me bridge that gap between English and Spanish. And something I noticed as well is there are authentic texts in Spanish and in English. This promotes culturally relevant teaching, which is important. And there's narration of audiobooks by native Spanish speakers and native English speakers. And this is an example of fluency for native speakers, which English speakers need to hear good fluency in Spanish and good fluency in English, as well as Spanish speakers need to hear both. And this, again, culturally relevant practice brings us back to that, which is really what it's all about, and it's really important, and helps our students to take ownership of their own learning. Students can actually write in their texts. A lot of times texts that we've adopted or things that we've adopted are not their own. Here they can highlight, they can annotate, which are good skills to have. It helps them use the domains of reading and writing to practice these new skills before transferring those skills into a project inquiry at the end of a unit. Helps them really hone in on their 21st century skills by collaborating through those projects and use of technology to support their learning, which is again important in today. And they can use design thinking process, which was developed by Stanford to solve problems in those project inquiries. And I can see myself as a teacher using those project inquiries to build STEAM and STEM challenges. Also gives opportunities to learn and explore using all domains of language. Speaking, there's many opportunities for students to speak about what has been read or during projects. Listening, a lot of times, is something that's overlooked in programs. This program does not overlook listening. There's actually a part that is listening comprehension, where students listen with specific objectives, such as finding elements in a story. And writing, they write about what they have read, which promotes metacognition. And they're reading the authentic texts, and then everything connects back to the Common Core standards as well.
For the dual language program, it was really important for us that not only did we find quality in materials, but that the equity was there. Many times publishers are behind the ball to get the same amount of material in Spanish available to our students that we can provide to them in English. And I felt like we really found that product this time with Mi Visión. All of the things that you saw in the video were offered in Spanish. So students will be able to hear text in Spanish. They'll have it available at home. Their books will be in front of them. Small groups, inquiry, everything is equitable one-to-one in every part of their components that they've offered. And in addition to that, they have a dual language implementation guide, which has scholarly articles for us to look at and use in our professional development. And it also works with us on some key practices in dual language and our instruction for our students when it comes to cognates, contrastive analysis, language approach, TPR. So I'm really excited with what this can do for our teachers, our students, and the amount of books digitally or in print that can go home with our students as well.
So when we started this process, we didn't necessarily have equity and inclusivity on our mind, but about midway through last year, it became very clear we needed to include that lens. And so now as we've been developing a lot of our work through equity and inclusivity, we have developed that piece about we need to have our children of all the different diversity that we just saw up here earlier at the beginning of the meeting see themselves in the text and see their culture represented in the text. And that's what we believe we found with this particular product. We gave you a very detailed background. In fact, Elizabeth took what Pearson provided us and distilled that down into, I think, an easier to read chart for you that's in the written report about the background of the authors, about specific major and minor characters, and about the range of diversity. I will say that this is, and anyone here can disagree with me, but I think this is probably the most diverse product that we've ever purchased or have in the district. There's no doubt about that. So I think we're trying to give that very clear piece about that action plan that we've developed, that equity needs to be part of our curriculum, and I think we've established that. The other piece, too, I do want to highlight is that it's not just those stereotypical role modeling, too. There's a great range. In fact, in a couple of the 2 booklets that we have passing around, there's a unit on heroes, and you're going to see a lot of diversity in that heroes piece. Versus in the past, you might have seen a very typical kind of majority culture demonstrated. That's not what you're going to see in this product. And we certainly appreciate the intention that was given to that when they developed this product. Okay, so money. We've had a long relationship with Pearson, and I do want to recognize 2 Pearson representatives here today. So we have Katie Greffrath, who is our account representative. I'm sure I'm not getting your titles correct, so I apologize for that. And Samantha Richardson, who's going to be our primary professional developer for our work. They're both here. They can answer any of those questions that you might have that's in more detail. But we've had a long history with Pearson. In fact, I think this is maybe the 3rd time I've stood up here in some way supported a Pearson particular product. And I will say that Pearson is definitely, of all the publishers, is the most supportive of all the publishers that are out there. Specifically, Katie, I will say, is always helpful in trying to get us through either particular questions or things that we have. And back in the old days when they just dropped off books, it was nice and easy. They showed you how to, basically go through the book. Here's the sections. Okay, go get them, and then you kept the book forever. Now with digital, it's very different. There's consistently annual updates and changes that go on, and you do need good support by your account rep. Otherwise, you can't get things done as quickly, as smoothly as possible. So we certainly appreciate that work from Pearson. We started out at actually a higher tier than what we're recommending for you. We started out what's called a gold level and gold tier, and we really found as we kind of discussed that we didn't need to actually purchase that amount of product material. So we went to a silver tier, and originally Pearson's proposal was that number up at the top there. They gave us quite a bit of extensive included materials with that, and I will say when we went and talked with Katie, and Katie talked with her team back there, we have very specific goals we wanted to accomplish fiscally, and of course, Pearson, they need to have some fiscal goals accomplished as well. So I think they were very good at working with us and really trying to come up with something that, both leaves us perhaps a little bit uneasy, but in the best possible terms. We had to come to some compromise in there. And I think that 550 number, Chris said it was okay, so I think we're okay with it. So that's all good, yeah.
Dr. Thomas, we've
Yes.
got it in our short range and long range plan.
Awesome.
It
Perfect.
actually came in a little bit under budget.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good to hear. Glad to hear that. All right. Don't spread that around. There's still and with that is some inclusion of professional development. So I do think that, we're getting a really quality product. I think we've tried to demonstrate that here today, and I think we're getting that for a really reasonable cost rate. So hopefully you will all agree. We didn't pass the mic around in practice, so we're going to try that.
Okay, so even though we spent 3 years finding a product to support our needs for our students, that was kind of the easy parts. The critical part, as we're moving forward, is to make sure we're working with the teachers and reading specialists to provide really high-quality PD to make sure the transition is smooth from what they were currently doing to a new series. So we are providing 4 days of PD this summer, 2 in June and 2 at the end of July, beginning of August. And teachers have a choice of 4 different days to choose from. And we also plan for teachers who are not able to attend in the summer, getting training end of August, beginning of September, and continuing training throughout the school year by Pearson and also our reading specialists and teacher leaders. We're also spending a lot of time this summer actually working with teachers on the committee, including you guys, and reading specialists to really look at our curriculum and making sure we're hitting those priority standards and seeing how the product fits into our curriculum and our high standards, not the other way around. So we're working on that quite a bit, and we'll continue that next school year. Curriculum work is never done. It's always a continuous process, as you know. I think that's it. Any questions?
Yes. So Any questions from our board
I do
members?
have one. In relationship to the dual English piece, is it that students who are in the dual language program will experience, I'm just not clear because I haven't really looked at the material, but is the English and the Spanish version, is the English version made into the Spanish version and they're going to have both? Or are they different? I understand that there's a curriculum connector and a dual piece to help bridge from like a teacher lens, but I'm curious about the text lens.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when you open up to a unit, whether it's in English or Spanish, monolingual or dual language, every unit is going to have 6 stories. When it came over to the Spanish side, some of those stories were removed and replaced with authentic pieces of literature, and some of them were trans-adapted pieces of literature. So when a dual language English teacher sits down with their Spanish partner to plan, they're not going to each teach 6 stories. 3 of them are going to be taught by the English teacher, and 3 of them are going to be taught by the Spanish teacher. So we're actually going to be instructing using a paired literacy model. So it's not a replica of teaching, or it's not redundant. And so they'll have different stories around the same theme and the same standards. And where there's differences, the contrastive analysis chart is going to help us make those connections explicit for our students.
Okay. So from a, it totally makes sense, and thank you for that. So from a materials perspective, they're going to have an English material, because you said they're consumable, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a consumable material. So they have an English material, they have a Spanish material book.
Yes, so the teacher will actually, the way that these books work, when they choose those stories that they're going to be teaching on each prospective language, the teacher has the opportunity to rip that story out of the book and actually have it become a workable piece of literature for them. So the students don't necessarily have to carry around 2 books, but they will be working from 2 different materials, whether the teacher rips that out or it's digitally, what have you. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So if I could just add a quick item, so on budget, what that means and where it was really helpful.
I mean, I understand it from the educational lens, but there is that piece too.
So that means, right, for our dual students, we have to buy
twice,
We have to buy twice. And so that was something, I mean, in our earlier conversations with Katie and Nat, was trying to figure out how can we work that out. And like I said, I do think Pearson was really, really good at trying to work down that solution so that it was something we could agree to. And I think it was a 20% drop, certainly on the Spanish side, to really, I mean, it seems more of a cost piece to us. So that really worked out, I think. They really came down quite a reasonable amount. But we are buying, in essence, for every dual student, an English copy and a Spanish copy. Yes.
Okay. I have one more question, sorry to be the question person around this. In terms of the technology lens, what is also accessible for our students, particularly the older grade students who have the Chromebooks and maybe bringing those home, 4th and 5th grade students, what's accessible for them to expand their learning or opportunities that can be done at home?
There's that program, what is it called? Reading Spot.
Right, is that?
Yes. So Reading Spot, it's kind of like we've looked a little bit, but we still have a lot to look at. But from what I remember, Reading Spot is, maybe you can even talk about it.
We're good.
You know more than I
Jen,
do. But Reading Spot,
it's okay. But it's a home component, like something that they would have access to.
Like there's quizzes on it.
home.
They can read stories, take quizzes. It's different skills, and it collects data for teachers to look at too.
Okay.
And nearly everything that's available in print is going to be available online.
Push out assignments, push out text.
Well, because it's Pearson, it's like math. Because math, we have Pearson too, and we can push out assignments for that too.
It's a lot like the Raz Kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I got that.
it works well with the devices. I mean,
It's compatible.
And actually, it's under the same Realize platform, which we use for other products. So it's actually helpful to have a couple of other products within our Pearson, repertoire. So it's just an easy upload and download. We're just adding on to what we already have as far as their backbone, their digital products.
And the students are already comfortable using.
Yeah, they know how to go into it.
Correct. Through math, they know how to go into it, they know how to access the assignments, teachers know how to assign it.
Oh,
So
good.
it will be a very easy transition.
Good. Yeah, that can be a hard part.
I don't have any more questions.
Other questions? Comments?
I just have a comment. I think it's really exciting that we have a new product that is going to really dovetail with our equity and inclusivity journey. You know,
It's been a long time since we had a new ELA program.
Like a decade.
Yeah, please feel free to hold on to those booklets that we gave you with some of those tabs. If you want to take a look through some of those, or I can certainly bring them another time. But they do really, again, Vicki and I pretty much randomly selected 2 grade levels. So we didn't plant anything. We didn't go through the wall on the floor one day and find the ones that had the most, diverse. It's really a random selection, and I think you're going to see that it's far more equitable than what we've ever had in the system.
Yes. 5 out of the 6 grade levels have more non-white characters than white characters.
I just want to thank you. I mean, it's a lot of moving pieces with the dual and with the Chromebooks, and there was a lot that you were looking for. And thank you, because it seems like you found the product that fits. So.
Okay, so this will come back as an action item on the June 27th agenda.
Yes, it will.
Great.
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, and thank all your peers, too, that
you.
can be with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you all.
So next, we have a written report for the FY20 budget development. I'm going to turn that over to Chris. Do you have slides or anything?
No.
It
No,
says
it's just a written report. It's early in the budget development process, being May. There's a lot of revenues and expenditures that are not yet known at this point in time, especially with at the state and federal level. Early indication is that we are not going to have a balanced budget next year. One of the largest pieces to that is the eroding of revenue dollars to Prairie Crossing. We made some great strides in terms of staffing, showing nearly $1 million of savings, but we're going to turn around and lose $1.1 million in revenue to Prairie Crossing. Kind of split into pieces with the settlement and the additional revenue that's going to go over to Prairie Crossing from our state funds.
And that's an additional $1 million to already 5.
To the already 5.
5.3. Well, what's our total revenue
it's
that goes to
It's
Prairie
going to be
Crossing?
5.5. It's going to be nearing 70% of
Yes.
what what the old general state aid used to be. So, like I said, it's early, so there's still some fine tuning to go. I'm hoping that I can have a little bit better picture, but you're looking at close to $1.5 million deficit just in the ed fund, and then with the leases that we have, you're looking at it's not quite 700,000 like the report said. It's closer to 600,000. So
Okay.
something that we're still struggling with that we'll have to find a solution to.
Questions for Chris? Comments? I know you were a part of the meeting. Did you want to add anything?
Just that it's really a difficult process because of the moving target at Prairie Crossing, kind of, and the funding ends up. This is normally where Board Member Hall would jump in. Over, but I'm going to stand in for her and just say it's deeply unfair. It's an equity issue, and it's something that the state needs to come up with a solution for. That we can do the work on our end, to balance the budget and do what we need to do, but there remains a glaring equity issue that sits at the heart of this. So that's all.
Questions, comments?
So in June, the board will review and adopt the tentative budget for public inspection that will then be on display until the board's final adoption in September. Are the next steps.
Yes. Okay, moving forward then for the, I just, still back on the budget is just really a huge disappointment. And I guess we just have to keep fighting to bring those dollars back to our students, since we're educating the whole community versus a select fraction of the community. So anyway, let's move forward to the written report on Head Start renewal. That also is in our packet for review. And with some explanation that I found very interesting. The approval for this agreement, again, will be put on the agenda for action at the January 27th board meeting, and we do have a copy of the agreement in our packet. Are there any questions, or do you want to provide an overview?
The only thing I would add is we've moved our Head Start classroom. Previously, we had 3 classrooms. This current year, we have 1 classroom. When we reduced our class sizes, we had to take some classrooms back. We do this. We do an annual contract with them because every year we look to see if we could give them more classrooms. And so this next year, we're still only able to maintain 1 classroom, but they've moved over to Elementary East. Dr. West has done a wonderful job of welcoming them and making them feel a part of the school. And we will continue to search for rooms for them. Okay. The majority, as you saw from the report, are our students. So we really want to make sure that they're getting the right start.
Yes. Questions, comments, discussions? You'll see this again in June, so review the agreement and be prepared for the action on it at the June 27th meeting. Next is the written report for District Sustainability Committee. Any overview that you want to provide on the district sustainability?
I can give to general, and then Don is available for questions. So this initiative with sustainability, as Joe alluded to earlier, this is a powerful piece of our current strategic plan and our former strategic plan. So this committee started 3 or 4 years ago, and their focus for the next school year is going to be on recycling. And I don't know, us as citizens, I don't know if you hear that through waste management, but even when you put things like pizza boxes in your recycling bin, that destroys that whole container of recycled equipment. So we really feel we need some re-education the committee does with our staff and a renewed focus with our children about recycling. Don is here to answer any questions the board members have in particular. And is there anything else, Don?
It's just that recycling is getting to be a real tough gig. China doesn't take recycling anymore. So they're getting real particular. Waste Man's getting real particular about what they pick up. Our custodians have to take a plastic bag full of recycling, tear it open, and put it in the recycling dumpster, and then throw the plastic bag away. The trash, because if you throw a bag in recycling, screws up the recycling line. The actual mechanics of it. So, and there are several communities that are kind of abandoning recycling just because it costs us $6,000 a year to recycle. And actually, that's a pretty good deal. It's really, we get the dumpsters for free. You're paying $8 every time they dump it. So that's pretty good. For people that do take the paper, we're paying $25, and we don't do that. So the committee's hoping that America embraces recycling paper, and if we learn how to do paper by itself, and it comes back where there's some money to be made, then the district's already trained on how to do that. We'll be able to get something back, at least break even on recycling. So recycling is going to be really, scratch your head, Mike, is it really worth it? But my grandkids don't know how to do it, so I guess it's something good. So keep poking away.
We appreciate your leadership, Don, and the modeling that we're doing. Started at Primary Green School, continuing on. It's important for our kids, so thank you.
Yes, thank you. Questions or comments, board members? Okay, we'll move forward with the computer leases. Also in the packet was a information on the computer leases. We'll actually have an action item on the agenda for June 27th board meeting. Do you have anything to add on computer leases?
No, we're in the second year of the way the computers are going with Chromebooks. We'll be issuing at 3rd grade and 6th grade. The Chromebooks will be good for 3 years, at which point in time a 3rd grader then would receive a new Chromebook in 6th grade. This is kind of the cycle that you want to see, just because it's you don't have to worry about having off years with Chromebook leases. We're getting a good price. We still have the same deal where we can get the replacements, and
Yeah, and I don't think I realized that either, so, yeah. I'm glad that was made clear. I don't know why I assumed they just kept it forever till they left the school.
No, unfortunately, technology doesn't last that long.
I guess I hadn't really thought about it, so thank you for that one.
Sure.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, so we'll move forward then with the yearbook recommendation. That also is in the board packet, and the contract will be up for approval at the June 27th board meeting. We have a new, I guess, new company won the bid, if I say that correctly. So, any further discussion or overview of that?
I believe so. I just want to thank.
I'm not familiar with this company, so did you want to provide some background on that?
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Snyder.
Sure. Every 4 years we do a request for proposals for the yearbook services, and really there's what I refer to as the big three companies in yearbook production. It's Herff Jones, Jostens, and Walsworth. And since in the last 15, 16 years since we've been going to bid, we've actually worked with all three companies over time. It seems that each time it comes to a year or two in advance of the bid, they're calling and inquiring about the bid, and it's really somewhat of a cutthroat business. Our current vendor, Jostens, who was this last contract was the first time we worked with them, wonderful to work with, very responsive. They came in with a zero cost change in their proposal. Walsworth and Herff Jones both undercut them by a small amount, but they won the bid. And the products are really all comparable. I mean, they're all very good. There's other smaller yearbook companies out there that do more what I call memory books and paperback books and paperback yearbooks that aren't quite the same, but these are the main ones that serve all the high schools, serve the college campuses. But they're a company we're familiar with and a rep that we've worked with before, so I'm confident it'll be just as good. It'll be a little learning curve for our yearbook advisors, but that's about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And where are they out of? What, headquartered?
Well, the reps are local. Where the company's out of, I'd have to look it up. I don't remember where their corporate offices are. But the rep serves southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois.
Yeah, I was just curious. I obviously don't do a lot with your books, so I've only heard of the other two or three, but never this one. So just was curious. You could put it in the packet for the action as an action item. Just give us some background on the company, just for information.
Sure.
Herff Jones and Jostens are also involved in many other things, caps and gowns and class rings and stuff. So their name recognition is a little bit bigger, they're a bit broader than Walsworth.
Yeah, thank you. Other questions or comments? Okay, so we're moving forward then to board improvements and operations. This is an opportunity in the board meeting to discuss today's board meeting as well as and plan a little bit for future board meetings. So if we have any task that we want to have either work on for ourselves or have the administration work on over the course of the month leading to the next board meeting, this is an opportunity to discuss it. If you have items, action items that you want in the agenda, this is an opportunity to also discuss those. We have listed also in the packet are the board committees that we currently have and who's assigned to those committees. So I'll open it up for discussion. I can't recall that we have any outstanding items.
We do not.
Okay.
For outstanding items.
Yeah. Okay. Other than just the idea of putting more information in the action item for the yearbook,
Yes.
just to get more, just a
For-
better
for
understanding
meeting
of.
recap, yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's
I have.
it.
And we're gonna go through the committee positions, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I think we should wait until all 7 board members are here.
Got it.
So we'll do it maybe, hopefully, at the 27th, June 27th board meeting. Let's plan to do it
Yeah,
then.
do you want me, Carla, I won't be at that board meeting, which is fine, you can still go through it. Do you want me to just submit to you my committee interest? Is that work?
Yeah.
Or do you want to, I mean,
When will you be back?
I will be back July 2nd.
Okay, we can, I think it'll be okay to do at the July meeting then.
Okay.
There's no
Okay.
hurry
Okay.
on this. Most
Yeah, I'll
of
be
the
at the
work.
July meeting, I just,
The only thing I think is of immediate need would be the Gurney Days celebration, because that's gonna happen August 9th through the
Right.
11th. That's something we should be working on as a board over the summer. And we always say we're going to be more involved, and then we don't. And I think several people are out, kinda, it sounds like, are away for the summer.
I have an update on that.
Oh, you do?
front. I
Okay.
do. So, in one of our chairs, they weren't voluntold, they asked to chair, to chair our Gurney Days Float Committee. So, Elizabeth Cepezi Sanchez and then Mr. Jordan Anderson have volunteered to work with our branding committee to
Okay.
take a look at hashtag Light Life in the W. And we have our first committee meeting June 13th. But what we would love from the board subcommittee or the board in general is having discussions around the booth. The hard part for manning the booth, just as a practical matter, is that's the exact same time that we do RibFest and serve RibFest. That's our slot for the district. But once your committee gets together, we can share information. But I do want to thank Jordan and Elizabeth for stepping up and doing a great job like Ryan and Joanne did last year. So.
And we need a board member to serve on the Gurney Days
Yes, that would
committee,
be
because
great.
we currently do not have one.
Right.
So. They always seem to meet when
I'm usually not in town for Gurney Days
I was going
either.
to say, I'm always out of town. That's my week to be out of town on business. You'll serve? Okay. That would be great.
And I think they're a separate corporation, so we'll get information for you about, there's an application process. And it'll probably be attending meetings this year, but then planning for summer of 2020, because they're all set and ready to go for this year, for the most part. Thank you, Missy.
And then, would you also be a part of the group that's working on the
The
float?
branding.
Okay, good. Okay. So that's kind of the immediate need. I think the other ones can wait until you get back. Did you get a list of all the committees and what they do? Sort of the,
Not what they do, just the list.
We can get that for you.
okay, yeah, because there should be sort of an overview of what each committee does.
Here's a clarification for board direction. And can we go ahead and continue with our current policy committee members so we can keep that work going? And we've got a meeting set up in June or July, or would the board prefer to wait until?
No, work doesn't stop. I think we need to move forward with work
Right.
as we're doing it, but we'll have a chance to talk about, if people want to join committees or, leave committees, things like that.
Okay, thank you. Just clarifying.
But we wouldn't want to stop work. No. Any other discussion or thoughts on that?
No, it can wait till July.
No, go ahead.
Well, with our strategic plan committees, as the committees move to implementation, I think it's something to consider that board members would cycle off of those committees, right? So that board members aren't, at the board meeting, the committee can report on implementation. I think that will happen at different times for different strategic plan committees, but to step away in that moment and not say how the plan should then be implemented, to me makes sense. I think it can be an individual choice, but it's just kind of something to consider to allow the committee to do its good work, but then to fulfill kind of the role of a board member in terms of receiving the report and giving oversight at board meetings.
Okay. Thoughts on that? We can discuss it more at the...
Joe, are you speaking kind of for the culture, the diversity and equity?
No, all of them. I mean, yeah, for the equity committee, but also for the other strategic plan committees, and it could be different for the committees. I think that's that's worth a conversation. But
yeah, I think
it could be an individual choice, but it's just something to consider. I mean,
because what is your concern there?
That the board not overstep and tell administrators and staff how to implement. That to me doesn't seem like the role of a board member, and sometimes that can a board member in those committees can make a suggestion without really understanding how the building works and how the best implementation might be. And so to make that kind of suggestion without really enough information and enough context, if in that circumstance the committee says, oh, that's what we should do, a board member suggested it, that might not be the most efficient, that might not be the best practice.
But don't you think it's the role of the committee then to educate the board member on, and all the members of the committee, because some may be parents, some may be, just community members, to educate them on the pros and cons of the implementation. So it's, it should be a group decision anyway, not just one person's decision. But that's an opportunity to educate us. Whoever's chairing that committee can come up to say, hey, that, explain to the whole group why that's not a good idea.
Sure.
Or how it could be implemented. But I think it doesn't sound like you're afraid that the board member suggestion will be taken over other suggestions. Is that the fear, or I guess I'm not understanding?
No, I'm with this strategic plan. My only concern is that when a board member makes a suggestion without having really thought it through or having enough information, just kind of even offhanded, it carries a certain weight that everyone else at the committee doesn't necessarily have. So I just think it's worth a conversation. And I don't know, and I'm happy to kind of talk about it in terms of the different committees. I think the legislative planning team, that would be a different issue, right? So continuing to kind of push our legislative agenda, that's something that absolutely a board member needs to stay on. But just kind of thinking through how we can be most efficient with our committees.
But the equity and inclusivity, you want the board members to step away?
I personally intend to step away from the Equity and Inclusivity Committee. I can only speak for myself, but I feel as though at this point that committee has moved into an implementation phase, and now I'm happy to receive the reports at the board meetings. So yeah, that's my intention. But again, it can be an individual decision, or it can be a board ops decision. Something worth thinking about, worth talking about.
Okay. Further discussion? Okay, so we'll discuss this more at the July meeting.
Yeah, we can go through the committees and decide whether or not we should have a board member. We can, once we get all the descriptions. Yes. I think it makes more sense. Yep.
And then status of request from board members. Recap future board items. There were a couple of, I guess, correspondence which appear to have been answered. Do you need anything from us on these?
Just if those draft responses, if there's any changes to those, we can work with either now or after the meeting to confirm. Board members have any suggestions about changes to the responses.
Any suggestions on changes? Okay, and then, well, the one letter, I don't see it from the student.
That's the second one.
Is that the
Dear
first?
Emmett.
I don't see that one. Am I?
Here you go.
Oh, okay.
And it was attached. in
I did
emails.
see that, but I guess I got another letter from him earlier, right before this meeting. And is that reflected? That's the one I don't see.
So, is it okay if I speak?
Yes, sure.
Yes.
So you received 2 emails from him?
I got an email right before the meeting, or right before I left the office to come to the meeting.
I
we're
have
not
not,
aware of that one.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that one either.
Okay, and I didn't see who it was addressed to.
I did not get it.
No.
I'll look for it. Okay, here it is. Oh, he sent it to me alone. That's
okay.
why. Let me forward this.
Well, we can put him weekly tomorrow if you'd like.
That's kind of weird. Yeah, I'm going to forward it.